Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Brand Is You podcast. It's been a minute, and honestly, I really needed the minute. I have been through so much in the last year, and I really needed time to sit with the stories, to sit with the sort of scenarios and situations that have been unfolding in my life, in my business over the last year. And finally, as we're approaching 2024, and I'm actually like weeks away from my 38th birthday, things are really starting to come into view for me. It's like I'm not in it anymore. And now I can finally see it, and being able to see it means that I can speak about it. And so I'm really excited. This is going to be a 3-part podcast episode, and I'm going to kind of walk you through this journey that I've been on in my personal life, in my business, and really how that's come forth in the brand. And as you know, the brand is you. That's what we do here. That's what I do with my clients. And so I'm really excited to be finally sharing this with you in its entirety, and really getting into some of the nitty-gritty pieces of what I've been up to, what I've been healing through, things that I've been managing behind the scenes, things that you've probably been feeling in my brand and wondering about. Maybe you've been curious, like, where has the podcast gone? And why hasn't she been selling as much? And what is going on over there? You know, like, I've talked about my health. I've talked about my grandma's cancer diagnosis. I've been on trips. I took my daughters into the wilderness for 10 days by myself, you know, with no cell reception and no GPS and a tent. And I went offline, guys. I almost got divorced. I had a miscarriage. I got told some really scary news from doctors. And I'm going to get into all of these things with you over the next 3 episodes of this podcast, with the intention to really bring you into the story and the sort of resilience and work, the inner work, the outer work that goes into this, into building this brand, into building your brands. And let's get caught up, shall we? Let's go there. So I do want to warn you that there are a bunch of topics in the next 3 podcasts that might be triggering for some of you. Family dynamics, cancer, miscarriage, divorce, motherhood. I mean, I don't even really know, honestly, where this conversation is going to go. I'm prepared for anything. And I think it's important that you're prepared too. Okay. So just let's chat. Let's chat with open hearts and open minds as friends. And my hope on the other side of this is that you really feel yourself in this story, that you know that you're not alone in whatever you're going through or experiencing, you know, whether that's growing a brand and business or whether that's moving through something challenging in your life. And also to bring this back to, you know, the real belief that I have around the brand being who we are. The brand being this space and place where we can show up as all of who we are, without limitations, without fear that, you know, the personal side of us is going to disrupt or sabotage the professional side of us. And that we can really build brands that deeply connect with communities and have incredible impact while being very human and very real about all of this, because I'm not here to fake it. I'm not here to pretend. And so this is a real life story of an entrepreneur who went through some shit and is on the other side of most of that shit, and able to see it with a new perspective. And dare I say, even some gratitude for the things that she learned along the way. So let's get started, shall we? And stay tuned for episodes 2 and 3, volumes 2 and 3 of this conversation that are going to be a continuation of this story. Okay. So let's rewind. Okay. We're going all the way back here to January of 2024, which feels like lifetimes ago as I'm sitting here on October 17th recording this podcast. But in January, I decided, you know what? I'm ready to refine and rebuild the model for The Brand Is You. I have big visions for this work. I know that this work is meant to impact entrepreneurs across industries, across the world, to bring them more into themselves in the work that they're doing, to break down the walls of the boxes that they've put themselves as realtors, as investors, as artists, as authors, as coaches, and to really bring more of the essence of who we are into the work that we do. And I realized that the business model that I was creating at the time was really focused solely on one-to-one work that wasn't scalable. I was not able to help millions of people if I was doing, brand and business intensives day after day with one person at a time. So I decided I was ready to scale. And this decision is a huge decision in and of itself. And I just want to lay some context here because I'm the financial provider for my family. So deciding to change my business model was a huge conversation for my husband and I. Like, can we afford this? Can we afford to make this change? Can we afford to take the income hit, the revenue hit, while we rebuild something new? At the time, we had a nest egg of cash set aside. So we decided as a couple, like, yeah, let's do it. Because the way that I'm building this business, I'm having 80, 90K months, but it's not sustainable for me as a person. It was fine for my family. We have a beautiful nanny who we love, and we have, school close by. We had ourselves set up, but me as a woman, me as an artist, me as a mother, I was not thriving. I was drowning. And every day that I continued to operate my business this way, I was actually losing more and more of myself. And I started to notice this really. So in January, I decided, okay, let's pause. Let's take the income hit and just rebuild. Great. I was so fucking excited. I knew I could do it. I could see it. I had a plan. It was all mapped out. And then I got the news that my grandmother had cancer. I know so many of you are familiar with moments like this. The moments just change everything, like one phone call. And we hear about them, and I'm no newbie to bad news. I've been through bad news. But this phone call, my grandma raised me after my mom died. She was a huge part of mine and my brother's lives. And so I was in the middle of this like rebuild of my business, the very beginning of it. And when you're in the beginning of a rebuild phase, it's fucking messy. It's like you've just torn the walls out and you're standing in a pile of rubble. And then I got this phone call, and whatever walls were left standing came just crumbling down, like burnt to ashes. And in that moment, I knew that I had to be there for my grams in whatever way that looked like. So I started, trying to maintain my momentum that I had with this new business build. I was trying to stay plugged into the vision, and under the surface, there was just this like big hole being dug. Like, what if I lose her? What if this like stable woman in my life without a mother isn't there anymore? And in trying to rebuild something really big and really epic and like really this like huge expression of who I was, a lot of these old wounds and a lot of these really big conversations that I hadn't had with myself just came like flooding to the surface. So the challenge for me at this point in time was like, how do I do both? How do I be there for this imminent challenge and this, personal crisis in my life? And how do I empower myself to boldly create this business with a huge vision that I know is going to impact millions of people around the world? And when I look back, I didn't know this then. I didn't know how much my grandma's cancer diagnosis impacted me. I was in this survival mode of like, keep fucking going. My family and I had set aside 3 months of income loss in order for me to do this, to build this. And I had this pressure and this imminent deadline of, you've got to get this done. And so I wasn't really willing to sit with the pain, the hurt, the sadness, the grief, any of it. I couldn't at the time. So I kept trying to move forward. I kept trying to persist. I launched the Brand Is You Academy. And actually, I launched the Brand Is You Academy on my first visit home to see my grandmother. So a lot of you know this, but my brother works for me, Dustin. He is Team Robin, and he is a champion of all champions. And so while I went home for the first visit, I think it was in February, to visit my grams. I was there for 2 weeks. She had just gotten out of surgery. She'd finished a treatment. And I went there to take care of her at her bedside. And Dustin came to the house and worked with me most days. And we launched the academy. And honestly, when I look back, I'm like, how in the hell, Rob? Like, how did you do that? But with my brother by my side, we did it. We got through the launch. It was the biggest launch I have ever done, rebuilding something that was literally meant to be for like hold space for like thousands of people. Everything that I've done before that is like 20 people in a mastermind, 50 people in a workshop, like, 100 people liking your Instagram posts. And I really built the academy to be there for thousands of people. So we launched it. It was chaotic. I'll never forget the night that we launched it. I went to a hockey game. My dad was there. Dustin and I got in an argument. It was like tensions were high, but we did it. And we moved through stages and like steps and so many moments like this in my business over the last 8 months, just like getting things done through the pain, getting things done despite the personal circumstance that I'm sort of in awe, at what humans can do, at how resilient we can be. However, my grandma's illness continued to grow, and it continued to be a thing. So a month and a half later, I was back in Ontario again after her radiation treatment by her side. And this time was super challenging. I was feeling the pull of responsibilities inside my business, mega, like gigantically at this point. Okay. I was overwhelmed with the level of care that my grandma really needed from me, like to really be there for her. It required all of me. And on top of that, friends, my husband and I are now at this point in time in the story. I'm very grateful to say that we're in a really beautiful, loving place now. But at this point in time, we're like at rock bottom in our relationship. Honestly, I wish that I could say it was due to like the stress of the business. It wasn't. I wish I could say it was due to like stress of personal situations and family stuff. It wasn't. These were things that my husband and I have been like dealing with and working towards healing for over a decade. Attending couples retreats, doing medicine journeys, sitting in 10 years of therapy. And at this point in time, like right now, it seriously came to a head. Like it was next level. We're not going to make it. So now I'm in Ontario. This is my second trip. I'm away from my kids for now, like both trips accumulatively over a month. Okay. They're young. They're like, 6 and 8. They don't really understand. All they see is like, my mom's not here. My grandma's sick. Mom and dad, I'm not really sure what the heck is going on. So there's a lot happening. I'm in Ontario and my husband and I are like, I don't know, dude. Like, I just don't know if we can do this. And we were trying to talk on the phone. We were trying to plan a conversation for when I got back to say, like, where are we at? Like, do we have the effort to keep fixing this? Like, will it ever be easy? Because at this point in time, it did not feel like the love that we once had, like, could be restored. It was so painful to feel like the floor beneath me, literally, with not only with this like woman who was my mom's mom, who was such a huge part of my life, was being taken from me. She was so sick. She was so sick. And then these calls with my husband were just like fucking gut-wrenching, like honestly about to lose it all is how I felt. But at the same time, felt like I was really just finding myself and really just speaking my voice and really saying what I needed to say. Like, in so many ways. Like, I can't run a business this way anymore. This is not who I want to be. I need to be here for my grandma. I have to be here, all here, fully present for her. And then in my relationship, like, it can't feel like this. It can't be this way. It has to be a different way. So all of these walls are just crumbling. And I'm standing in this pile of ashes. And my business is still calling on me. It's still saying like, hey, girl, hey, remember me? Remember us? Remember the clients? Remember the community? Remember the people that you're here to help? Remember the people who have already paid you? Remember the algorithm? Remember your email list? Remember all those goals? Like, remember what you're here to do? And all of this pressure caused so much confusion, and the sense of loss just had me feeling like I was really back at the beginning, not just personally, but also professionally. I was helpless in so many ways. And now that I look back, I know that I had to lose all clarity. I know now that I had to lose any sense of direction that I had in order to move forward in a completely different way. But at the time, oh my gosh. I mean, my best friend Laura came to my grandma's house. She lives in Ontario, and she just sat on the couch with me and held my hand and cried for hours, days, for days. I was looking up real estate. Like, I think I'll just buy a trailer. I'll pay cash and live in a trailer. And that's where I'll figure this out. I messaged one of my other great friends, Allie, was like, help me. Like, how, she's a real estate agent. Help me. Where do I go? I was so directionless, so lost. Now, from these points in our lives, I think so much is born. But the death of what is so excruciatingly painful while you're in it that it doesn't matter that there's something else to come. Like, it hurts so bad that the potential of something feeling good again feels so far away and so out of reach that for me in these moments, I turned to, honestly, you guys are going to laugh at this, like gospel music on repeat all the time. Like, I'm not going to say that I found God. I'm not going to say that like I became religious, but gospel music in the shower at full bore, that and Benson Boone. Benson Boone, you know, please don't take these beautiful things that I've got, please. Like, repeat, like, just don't take these beautiful things from me. I was scrounging for beauty. I was scrounging for gratitude. I was scrounging every single day. Now, a couple of other things. Let's just layer it on because we're here and why not? A couple of other things that you should know about this. The year before this, leading up to all of this, you know, while my business was thriving, while everything was working, but not really working, you know, my marriage was good, but like obviously on the inside, like breaking, cracking from the inside out, whatever. While all of this was going on, I had been on antidepressants. Because like something ain't right. Then I got off the antidepressants because also something ain't right. Just didn't work for my body. Helped for a minute, then didn't help. Also, for all of the women in here who have wanted kids, who have kids, who want more kids, you're going to resonate with this. So I've wanted a third kid for as long as I can remember. Like since the day when he was born, I was like, can we have another one? Like, when's the another one coming? I've connected with her in so many soul sessions. I feel her presence. I could see her face. I was having such intense visions of her that sometimes when Wave and Wind were right in front of me, I could feel her in my arms. And like my body would start rocking back and forth like she was just there. So I'd had this conversation with Dunk for 5 years, like, please just hit me with another babe. Just hit me, lay it on me, get it in me. Let's do this. And no, always a no, which I appreciate now. But last year, actually, oh my fucking God, you guys, on this day, whoa, this is trippy. It's currently October 17th. It is 4:17 p.m. This is the day I got pregnant. This is the day I got pregnant with that third baby. You guys, this is so nuts. Because what happened on that day, this was before I found out about my grandma. This was before anything. I approached my husband on October 17th, 2023, and I said, my birthday's coming up. I'm ovulating. Please just give me one chance to have this child. Just impregnate me today. And he said, I'll think about it. Okay. I'll think about it. Then before bed that night, when, you know, we would turn the heat up and get it on, he was like, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm not ready yet. I can't do it. Like, okay, no problem. We've had this conversation a million times by this point. I'm like, okay, no problem. It's cool. I got fucking pregnant anyways that day, requested it. It came. What? 1 year ago today. And now I'm sitting down to record this story. I did not plan this. This is mental. So I get pregnant. OMG. I'm like, holy shit. I call Dunk, take the test, call Dunk. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. I know you said no, but the universe said yes. And I manifested, I'm pregnant. You put your thing inside my thing and I'm pregnant. And wow, to that turned into a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it because it's too personal, but ultimately what ended up happening was I miscarried. Oh my God, you guys. If you think you're listening to a soap opera, You might be. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, oh my God, am I watching a woman who's like writing the script for a soap opera? Like, yeah, maybe. Maybe I should consider it, because it certainly sounds like it at this point. So I get pregnant. I am like, holy fucking shit. My daughter's name is Magnolia Ray. She's coming. She's here. Maggie Ray. Like, hello world. Get ready to meet her. I have like so much to say about this, but what I'm going to say is I miscarried. It was the biggest gut punch. Oh, that's a very bad pun. We should maybe cut that out. Not sure. It was the biggest slap in the face. Let's say that. It was the biggest slap in the face. It was the most real depressing moment of my life. I couldn't leave my bed. I couldn't get off the floor. I couldn't receive help. I couldn't talk to anyone. I was so devastated. My body was in a state. My mind was in a trap. Like I was over. Like I couldn't be there for my kids. I was so devastated. It took me a long time, like weeks, just to like look at myself in the mirror after this miscarriage, because I didn't understand anything. No, but I manifested it and it worked and it's here and she's meant to be here and I've been asking for this and I know that she's meant to be here. Like, what? Wait, this is a sick joke. And over time, obviously, I mean, this is a year ago. What the heck? And now I understand that it wasn't meant to be. And, you know, I'm not going to get into all of this right now, but, you know, I do believe, like, I was so enthralled by this idea of having a third child for so long. And it really enveloped me in every single way. I was working to make more money so that we could afford another kid. I was trying to change my business so that I could have more free time to have another kid. I was trying to be a better wife so that my husband would say yes to having another kid. It was all about this third child. And my life often evolves around chaos. I thrive in chaos. I create chaos. I'm a creative, chaotic, messy, beautiful human. And what I learned on the other side, or what I've decided to take away from this experience, was that I don't need more chaos. I need to be present with what is. Right? I need to be here for what I have. I need to be settled in myself without needing more of the things to fill the voids that exist within who I am. So I miscarried. And I let go of that idea. I let go of that vision for my life. And then I went through all of those other things: the grandmother, the trips, the cancer, the being there for her, the near divorce. Oh my God. And I cleared so many of these things just out of my body, like the need for another child. I healed the relationship that I had with my grandma. I did so much healing around losing my mom when I was there with my grandma. My husband and I healed so much together. Like, we healed so much. And we got back to a great place. And so all of this, so then I get to call it April. Okay. In April, my grandma's healed from radiation. She gets the clear from her doctor that the cancer is gone out of her body. My husband and I are in a really powerful, beautiful place. I have forgiven my body for the miscarriage. I have accepted where I am. And now I'm at this place, at this moment in time in April, where I'm like, what the fuck now? What now? Like, where do I go from here? Because I started this year, you know, I'd had the miscarriage prior to changing my business, but I started this year with this desire to do things differently. I desired to shift something, both in my business and my personal life. I wanted to feel whole. I wanted to feel complete. I wanted to feel like a version of myself in motherhood, in my marriage, in my friendships, in my own creative juice, in my body. I wanted to feel like the version of myself in my relationship with my family, my grandma, my brothers, my dad, and all of these places. That was the version of myself that I really wanted to be. And I wanted my business to support that, not to take away from it, but to support the abundance in the rest of my life. So now I'm like at this place with so much behind me and everything in front of me, but absolutely no idea how to pick the pieces back up. No idea where to even start. And I started to spin out. So in the next chapter of this story, I'm going to talk to you about finding clarity in the chaos. I'm going to talk to you about the steps that I took to start to rebuild not only my business, but also my inner sense of self and the safety that I needed to establish within myself. And I'm also going to talk to you eventually about how all of these struggles have really shaped the evolution of the brand is you and what's to come. So that's it for today. I'm about to go speak in an event. It's all about abundance, the Dine Wilder event series here in Squamish. And I'm going to stand in front of 38 women and I'm going to talk about abundance. And after this year, after going through a full year cycle of loss and grief and pain and chaos, oh my God, and not knowing and losing all sense of self and direction, I'm going to stand in front of those women and say that if you can keep returning to yourself, and if you can trust the possibility in the moments that you lose all things predictable, then you will live the most abundant life of all. Because one of the things that I have learned this year is never to abandon myself in the moments that life feels the way that it did. You don't need to abandon yourself to build a thriving business. You don't need to abandon yourself to make money. You don't need to abandon yourself to take care of other people or to save a marriage. You don't need to abandon yourself in moments of loss or sadness. And the most important lesson that I've really learned this year is that I always have me. I have me. And yes, the brand is me, of course. And of course, I'm there for my kids, and I'm always there for my husband. And I try to be there for other people in my life, although I could be better at it. But now I know that I've got me. I've got me. And the eternal abundance, the eternal abundance that comes from knowing that you have you. You have you in the lowest of lows and the craziest of crazies and the chaotic moments of the most chaotic moments, knowing that you have you even in the best of the best times. That's true abundance. Because when you have you, you are always supported. There is an overflowing source of love, of nourishing. So I'm going to see you in part 2 of this conversation when we're going to get into the next layer. It's slightly more adventurous. It's absolutely not as emotional, I promise, but it is equally as exciting. I hope you'll come back and listen. I hope you'll subscribe to this podcast where we're going to have way more realer than real, holy shit, conversations, epiphanies, moments together where we really welcome in these vulnerable layers of who we are. Because this is the moment, these are the moments that bring our brands to life through more than an offer or more than something that we're selling, but through human fucking connection. And that's what I'm here for. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.